Hi, I'm Amanda from The Hot Plate, and today we're going to be getting steamy in the kitchen making one of my favorite desserts, crumbly pears with cardamom whipped cream. Was one of my solutions for portion control. I don't know about you guys, but apple crisp is one of my absolute weaknesses, and if I don't finish the whole thing, I feel completely unsatisfied. So to try and help myself, I created individual crisps. Now, we're going to be using pears because it's a little bit more seasonal. You can either use a Bosc pear or a Bartlett pear. We're going to be using Bartlett pears for this example. And it's a great one because really the only labor is assembling your topping. So we're going to get going with that. Now, this is your standard crisp topping, or the one I like anyway, which means that we're going to be doing it with flour and oats. So we're going to start with our flour. We've got about a half cup here, and we also have a half cup of our oats. Make sure not to use the instant kind. It's a lot better to use the rolled. To sweeten it up, we have our brown sugar. Try to go for something between a medium to dark brown sugar, none of the light stuff. And to that, we're going to be adding 2/3 of a cup. Get that in there. You can already smell the sugar. It's delicious. Now, what makes this a little bit special is instead of cinnamon, we're going to be using cardamom. And cardamom is a spice which is now becoming a little bit more common in grocery stores, so don't worry about being a hard one to find. And it's got a really nice floraliness. And that floralness really accents well with the pears. So we're going to be adding just a half, even probably a little bit less than half a teaspoon. It's really pungent, so we don't want to go overkill with it because it's also going to be going into our whipped cream. Now, as with everything, you have to make sure that you're seasoning it up. So we're going to be adding a half teaspoon of our kosher salt. And that just helps to balance out all the flavors and make sure that we're getting the most out of it we possibly can. Now, what keeps this all together is our unsalted butter. We're going to be adding 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. It has to be at room temperature. So what I like to do if I forget is I just stick the butter on a plate while I preheat the oven. And if you leave it on the stove, it'll get nice and soft. But you want to make sure that you're going to be able to mix it with your hands. So that goes in there. You can use a spoon if you want. You can use a fork. I like to get right in there and use my hands. So we're going to move to the bowl and get this all mixed together until it's reduced down to about a pea-size graininess. So we've got these, we're going to have them. I've just got a paring knife here. And what makes this so easy is that all you need to do is take a spoon and using the side of a spoon, just kind of scoop into the flesh and pull back. And what we're trying to do is make a shallow bowl and get all those seeds out. And that's where we're going to be putting our topping. If for any reason your pears are really wobbly, this is a good tip, is you can actually just take a little cut off the back and then they'll stay flat when they're in the baking sheet. So these ones are kind of bulby at the bottom, so we're going to do that. And that'll just make sure that they stay put and they don't roll around when we're moving them into the oven. So we'll grab one of our halves of our pears, grab a nice handful of our topping, and we're going to go ahead and just push it right down on top. The reason we're pushing it in is because all that nice butter is going to start melting and it's going to be what helps to soften our pears, and we end up with beautiful little individual desserts. Now that we've got our pears all assembled, we've preheated our oven to 350 degrees and they're going to be going in for 30 to 40 minutes just until they're nice and tender and our toppings got nice and crisp. To add a little creaminess to our dessert, we're going to be making a cardamom whipped cream. Now we already have our cardamom in our topping, so we're going to be adding a little bit to our whipped cream to just harmonize the flavors. I like to whip cream by hand, and what that means is using a whisk and a whole lot of elbow grease. To give yourself a little bit of a break, try putting whatever bowl you're using in the freezer for about 10 minutes. If the bowl's cold, the cream will whip a lot faster. Now we have 1 cup of 35% heavy whipping cream. We're going to be adding that to our cold bowl. So we're going to go ahead and start whisking. So now we've gotten our cream to soft peaks, so it's still a little bit loose. We're going to be adding our 1 tablespoon of sugar and our cardamom, which gives it a nice little speckled look, and again, that florally fragrance. And we're going to keep whisking until it comes together into stiff peaks. And there you go. Now we have stiff peaks. That just means that the cream is stiff enough that it's going to stand up. It also means that we're going to be able to do a really nice dollop of our thick, luscious whipped cream on top of our crumbly pears. In the meantime, we're going to pop it back into the fridge while we wait for our dessert to be ready. And now my favorite part, we get to taste it. Grab, oh, that is a crisp topping. get a bite. Okay. I'm never gonna need ice cream again. That cardamom cream, it's rich, not too sweet. The floraliness matches up well with the pear. And I tell you, it cuts right through the sweetness that we've got going on with our topping. So make sure to check out this, all of our other episodes, especially our French onion soup coming out in 2 weeks at thehotplate.net, and all of our updates on facebook.com/thehotplate.